New Testament 12, Saint Luke, the Evangelist, was he a historian of Jesus? Catholic First Steps. Copie traduit en anglais du Nouveau Testament 12 Saint Luc, l'Évangéliste, fut-il un historien de Jesus? https://youtube.b/ouribjaden0a. By Arnaud Demuch. Institut Angelique Doctor. Saint Luke, the Evangelist, was he a historian of Jesus? Well, I would say that to know exactly who Saint Luke was, you have to look at writings, more or less contemporary. They say this: Saint Luke was a doctor and he was cultivated. In particular, he was richly educated in the Greek culture that was prevalent throughout the Mediterranean basin at the time. As we know, Greek culture is not only that of the philosophy of medicine, but also that of historians. The Latin will resume this method. So much so that Saint Luke, when he is writing, he addresses to Theophilus, that is to say someone who loves God, his two works, saying, I made an inquiry, I inquired about everything and others have told the same story. So he wrote the Gospel of Luke, and certainly, the Acts of the Apostles, with the same method. Does this mean that he is a historian in the modern sense of the term? Well, he tries to be, in any case, and he collects stories, he makes inquiries. For example, the fact that it is in St. Luke that we have so many details about the childhood of Jesus, about the Annunciation to Mary and the virginity of Mary, he can only hold that of the Virgin Mary herself. Even who would have thought such a story? Marie could not boast of it. But after the resurrection of Jesus, Saint Luke himself being a disciple of Jesus, when he took this story, he put it in writing like that. The fact that he is a believer, that he trusts the Virgin Mary, shows that he does not make a modern work according to the historico-critical method, no. He is a believer first and foremost, but he tells it simply. In the same way, as best as he can, he will recount the Acts of the Apostles, since he procures the text of the Gospel according to St. Mark, which seems to him a good source, and he integrates it almost entirely in his Gospel, and he adds things that his investigation has allowed him to learn. Does this mean that, like a historian, he puts the chronology in order? No. He does as he can. And there emerges a work that is not that, with the current critical instrument, but that of a witness, rather, a privileged investigator, a living story, very interesting. For the Acts of the Apostles, the same, he stops at a given moment, which makes it possible to date the moment when he finished his writing, before the persecution of Nero. And that's why he does not tell the martyrdom of Peter and Paul in Jerusalem. They are other later authors who, by their investigation, will tell the story, and it is written in some books that are not in the New Testament, because, since the death of the last apostle, St. John, about 90 AD, and public revelation is considered closed, and so all the stories that can be very near, deeply close, are not, in any case, part of the New Testament.